That was a loud clap. Oh, didn't mean to be a loud clap. Anyways, hey guys. Today we are watching another potential history video. This time, meme tanks. The tanks, they are memey. And there are memes and tanks. Tanks and memes. And history and stuff. I hope. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? This could just all be a deceptive title. I don't know what's going on up here. I'm just going batshit crazy. I think the more I do YouTube, the more I go insane. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and just start watching this video. If it's like the other meme tanks, probably gonna be enjoyable. Oh boy.
When sense is prevailing and logic is on the rise, our nonsensical heroes roll into action.
Oh, what? What the fuck was that? What was that?
The heroes
What?
roll.
What? Is that like a fucking... Are those like... Is that supposed to like mow down, like just slice up fucking any enemy infantry right in front of it?
Into action, donning their disguises.
No, that was to clear barbed wire. I just noticed. Okay.
And moving at a snail's pace, they flail into action.
Oh,
They
and to clear
are
mines. Oh, that's
the
cool.
Meme tanks.
You know what? All right, the one that has that spinny thingy at the front, that actually seems pretty cool and useful.
Meme tanks. Meme tank. Alright, getting back to my roots.
Oh god, this was when PewDiePie was still doing meme review. He needs to bring back the claps.
I've had multiple
been a
requests to
while.
look at multiple different tanks, but most of them don't have enough information for a whole video. So I'm gonna do a couple of what I think are the most meme-worthy tanks. And
Okay.
I'm not going by any particular standard, I've just picked 3 that make me laugh.
Okay, that's an
This
American.
first one isn't technically a separate tank. It's actually just a panther in a costume, but the story behind it is pretty funny. In 1944, in the lead-up to Operation Watch on the Rhine, that would come to be known as the Battle of the Bulge, Adolf Hitler ordered the creation of a special German commando unit that was to use Allied uniforms and equipment to impersonate American soldiers and cause confusion
Oh, you know what? On paper, sounds pretty neat. Sounds like a pretty good idea. In action, though, probably not.
behind the lines via switching around road signs and other various forms of sabotage. The specifics of this operation, known as Operation Grief, or Griffin in German, were the brainchild of SS Commando Otto Skiertzny. For this, he
God, he looks
requested
like a
thousands of
stereotypical
English-speaking
movie bad
German
guy.
soldiers, along with uniforms and hundreds of captured Allied vehicles. However, he only received a fraction of the English-speaking soldiers he requested, and only a fraction of those could put on a convincing American accent. He also only got a handful of vehicles out of the numbers he requested, including only 2 M4 Shermans that were in a state of disrepair. To remedy this problem, Skiertzny opted to disguise around 10 Panther Gs as American M10 tank destroyers called the Ersatz, or False Panther. At least I think that's what that means. From what I can tell, it doesn't translate well. If anybody speaks German and knows a better translation, let me know. This was achieved by welding metal sheeting onto the Panther and removing its commander's cupola, essentially blinding the commander, to mimic the body of an M10 tank destroyer. And it does look sort of convincing. The problem is that there is no way to cover up or alter the suspension, which looks nothing like the M10's horizontal bogie suspension, or to cover up the width of the tracks, which are much greater than that on an M10. Also, the M10 did not have a muzzle brake, and the Panther had to retain its obviously German muzzle brake to have the gun still safely recoil. So if this tank is approaching an Allied tank, the first thing the American tankers are going to see is the obvious German muzzle brake before they even see the disguise, which in and of itself, with all those things stated, is not too terribly convincing. I mean, look at it. An American tanker's gonna know that that is not on their side. The Germans also had
Yeah.
to put markings on the tanks to signal to other German vehicles that they were friendly, most notably a yellow triangle on the rear of the tank, and the American tankers, upon not recognizing this symbol, would probably become suspicious. In action, the Ersatz Panther did not perform very well. In less than 2 days, the attack bogged down before they could capture any of their objectives, due to the 1st SS not linking up with them at their starting point. After this, Skiertzny made a request that the unit operate as a normal panzer brigade, essentially abandoning the mission, and 5 of the Panther M10s were destroyed before the operation concluded. Skiertzny's deception unit, though, was able to cause some confusion behind enemy lines, and a few friendly fire incidents between American soldiers. So his deceptive operations were not a complete failure, but this Panther nonsense definitely was. And now it only really lives on as one of those stupid premium tanks in World of Tanks.
Yeah.
And in the real world, no M10 Panthers survive to this day. Next are the mine flail tanks employed by the British.
Wow! How original!
Sorry for shamelessly stealing your idea of the tank.
This design was actually an idea of a British South African soldier named Abraham de Troyes in 1941, and they eventually become one of the more popular variants in Hobart's Funnies. The
Can we
flails
just
were
say
initially put onto Matilda
all these
II
ideas
tanks
just seem
and
like
used
good
in North
ideas,
Africa
just
to
horribly
some
executed.
success.
Like, they
On
sound
the
good on
Matilda,
paper.
The flail was powered by a separate engine housed in a box on the side
At
of
least
the
I
hull
think so.
that was operated by an additional crew member from within the box. And to the guys who had to crew that position sitting next to a hot running engine inside a metal box in the deserts of Africa, hats off to you, because that sounds like arguably the worst job of the war. This
Yeah,
concept did
sounds
have a
pretty
few
bad.
flaws, though. When running, the flail would kick up huge amounts of dust that would blind the crews to where they didn't know where they were going. But it also blinded German guns in the form of a kind of smoke screen, so that wasn't all bad. But the dust would also be sucked into the engines and cause frequent
Oh, no.
breakdowns. Also, the flail chains would sometimes be blown off the rotor and fly in any direction, possibly
no.
injuring friend and foe alike. Later, in Western Europe, the flails were put on Sherman tanks and wire cutters were added to the flail to help the tank clear barbed wire, and were used most famously by the 79th Armored Brigade, with various detachments being lent out to other Allied units. The flails saw use mostly with the British Army, but had some limited use by the Americans. But now I'm sure you're wondering why I would call this a meme tank. Because it was objectively fairly successful. And it's honestly because I can't look at this thing in action without laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the definition of, hey, if it works, it works. Just because of how stupid it looks, and every time I see it, I always picture this. But it is still less retarded than this roly boy. There's a handful of these surviving, most notably a Sherman variant in the Bovington Tank Museum.
Meme machine, meme machine. I'm a motherfucker.
Yeah, this is what you came for. The be-all, end-all meme machine. The mouse is what you get when you follow the German-Soviet heavy tank dick measuring contest to Hitler's overcompensating conclusion. This massive, nearly 200-ton vehicle was what was supposed to come after the Tiger II before super heavy tank production was halted by Speer. The prototypes that were created are a testament to Hitler's mentality that large, mobile steel bunkers would change Germany's fortunes in the war. His opinions were most likely colored by his experiences of the first implementation of tanks by the British in World War I that he came into contact with firsthand. So put into the context of Hitler's experience, this tank makes a lot of sense, but in the context of the reality of World War II, which was a very mobile combined arms war, where Germany no longer had air superiority, it makes absolutely no sense. In reality, if deployed, this thing would be a large, slow-moving target and easy pickings for Allied fighter bombers, or something that ground troops could just maneuver around. I think an apt metaphor would be the fat kid on the playground getting into a fight. Sure, he can take a lot of punches, and he can throw a punch pretty hard, but all the other kids could just run away from him or throw rocks at him from the top of the jungle gym. And what's he gonna do then, if he can neither run nor climb? There is one mouse prototype that survived the war. It's actually the turret of one prototype and the hull of another that was captured by the Russians and resides near Moscow. These are just 3 of my favorite meme tanks, among others that I've covered in the past, but let me know if there are any others that I should cover in the future in the comments. But I'm looking for real creativity here. The Bob Semple tank is just way too easy, low-hanging fruit.
What do you mean? The Bob Semple tank is the greatest piece of manufacturing genius that has ever existed. It is perfect in every sense of the word, in every definition. In every language and culture, the Bob Semple tank is perfection. Okay? Okay? Perfection. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? The Bob Semple tank is perfect. Yeah. That was meme tanks. I fucking love this series, man. I love Potential History. It just makes me laugh. And as he pointed out, you know, in terms of context and like on paper, they sound like good ideas, you know? They don't sound like bad ideas, but obviously what works on paper and in theory does not work all the same in real life. And that is a shame. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Leave a suggestion down below for what you want to see me react to next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.